There is a reckoning coming for manufacturing if we don't change our philosophy as a country.
Today is part one of our interview with Ryan Healy. Ryan is a U.S. Army veteran and the Chief Outside Operations Officer for Superior Crane Corporation. He shares more about what they do and some of the things they're doing to bring life back to the manufacturing industry. Let's jump right into it.
What is Superior Crane and what do you guys do?
Superior Crane, so we are an overhead crane manufacturer. So people hear cranes and they think of Big Blue. I'm dating myself by using Big Blue as a reference nowadays. But they think of those cranes that you see on the side of the road and things like that. That's not what we build. We build the cranes that are in top of buildings, and they're on fixed positions. They travel back and forth. So if you go into big manufacturing facilities and things like that, look up in the air. Generally, it's a big yellow thing that's moving back and forth and picking up the big heavy stuff up and down. So we do everything associated with that. We make them here. We can build our own hoist. So I mean, we're truly making everything except for controls and motors here. But anything overhead crane wise, we try to do. We've got engineers on staff, so we're designing it here, and we're meeting meeting customers really where they're at. You know, we've made cranes or purchased crane hoists that are can handle 250 pounds. Biggest crane that we've built to date is a 250-ton crane.
Wow.
You know, and cranes. Everything we make here is a custom crane. We don't have cranes that are on the shelf or things that way. So it's meeting the customer in, because each building is a little bit different. The space that they have to fit it in is a little bit different. So we really work on customizing things and working to try to solve customers' problems to best handle what they need to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
250 tons. That's a big boy.
Pretty big. Like I said, that was just specifically the hoist. So the part that's lifting up and down. Biggest overall crane that we've built capacity-wise to date is 150 tons, where we built the whole thing. But again, for cranes, it's based on the number of picks you make an hour and then the rated load compared to the capacity of the crane. So we've built a 90-ton crane that went to a steel mill in Arkansas, that the finished weight of the crane just sitting on our floor was 440,000 pounds.
Wow.
Because it's a crane that runs 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and things like that, and it just can't be down. So obviously when you get to that, the girth or the design of it gets to be a lot heavier duty versus something that is going to be used a couple times a day and not necessarily in your capacity and things like that. But you know, we really try to meet people wherever they're at along that process and work to find them the best solutions that way.
That's great.
Yeah.
So who's your target market for these cranes and how far do you reach? You said Arkansas.
Yeah.
Is it national or?
So yeah, we have shipped some cranes into South America. We try to work within the United States. So as a business philosophy, we have direct to customer salespeople that work regionally. So on a day-to-day basis, we're working in Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska is where our direct reach to customers is. We've also taken the philosophy that we're very good at mechanically manufacturing stuff. So we do work with a lot of crane resellers across the United States. So we have companies that we regularly do business with in New York, Missouri, Arizona, Nebraska, Kansas, things that way. So we have, you know, our fingers, and what does that do? It extends our reach out farther to people. So companies that are working with their salespeople, getting that information, feeding it back to us, telling us what they need, them working directly with their customers, but then us manufacturing. So we don't have a problem. You know, if we're working with somebody else, we'll put somebody else's sticker on our cranes. They still will have the flag on them. That's a requirement on anything that ships out from here. But you know, people will still have to come back to us for those parts and things like that. So again, our ego is not such that it's got to go out with an SEC brand name on it. We're very proud of what we do, and think it solves a lot of people's problem, or solves to work their problems. But it doesn't need to necessarily have Superior Crane, because the people that know enough that it's coming back to here and out of this facility. So
that's awesome. One thing that I do love about your cranes, on top of the great quality, is the American flag on there.
Yep.
On every crane that goes out,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Everything.
What inspired you guys to do that?
So my father, again, for Superior Crane, it's myself, my father, my mother, and my brother. Growing up, my dad was never in the military, but everybody called him Sarge. My dad was the guy that would coach our soccer team, and we'd be doing in-cadence push-ups before a soccer game. That really didn't apply. But and again, he had always instilled in me pride for the country, pride for the flag, all of those things. So as it became our company, so the present ownership group was effective January 1st of 2019. My father had been a part of a partnership before that, and it goes back to 96 is when he became part of Superior Crane as an owner. But the Healys took full control of the company in 2019, and it was something that we just felt was right. Again, obviously my ties with being a veteran. I've got tattoos on my body of flags, probably more than anything else. So it's something that I believed in. Our building's got a big flag on it, as we put an addition onto it, just because we're proud of American made, and that still does mean something to here. Again, there are components that we have to buy that are not American sourced, but again, we're very proud of an SEC brand crane with SEC machine parts and things like that, are all coming out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, even though nobody, as we're selling it to people, can pronounce Waukesha, and the Indian names and things like that, but things that way. So it was a way to separate ourselves, but to work and instill pride in that flag. And again, like I said, I still get goosebumps when I see that big flag on a big yellow thing going down the street and things that way. So we're very proud of it that way.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it looks awesome.
Yeah,
it's inspiring to see. One unique thing that we talked about in the previous conversation is something that you're doing with local tech colleges and stuff like that to implement what you call SEC University. Can you explain more about that program?
Sure. So the idea of the advantage or disadvantage SEC has as a company is that we are a family-run business, and we are not ever going to, I don't have these big aspirations of being this global brand or anything that way. I'm very good with controlling the quality. Superior Crane sells on quality. We're not going to be the cheapest. We don't want to be the cheapest, but we do want to give you a damn good crane that you're proud to have. But we also need to be realistic about what that is. So we are, as it sits right now, we're at 94 people. And there's big companies in the area that everybody's hurting for people. So our goal is, there is a reckoning coming for manufacturing if we don't change our philosophy as a country. Again, when I graduated from high school, which is going back a few years now, but if you weren't going to a four-year school, you did something wrong. Even as somebody that was going into the military, you were looked at less than somebody that was going to a four-year school. And the same thing happened as it relates to the trades. If you're going into the trades and not getting a degree, that somehow you're wrong or that you didn't do the right thing. And we push so many people away from manufacturing. We realized that we needed to do something to position ourselves better to get to people before the bigger companies snatch them up. But B, it's the idea of how do we actually push getting the trades back into things like high school and things like that. Because again, when I went through high school, I took graphics design classes, I took architecture, I took those things that, in talking with my daughters, aren't available anymore in a lot of cases. So how do we turn around and do that? So it's a community outreach program where we go and we look to find juniors and seniors in high school, bring them into Superior Crane, and they're paid to be here, part of their day is done talking on life skills that aren't necessarily being presented at schools anymore. And this is not to bash schools and things like that, but again, it's about putting good into the world, and it should work out. Ideally, we look to take on 4 to 8 people a year. Take on is probably not the right word, but we look to add 4 to 8 people to our program each year. The idea is that it is a 2-year program. They're going to be able to come in, they're going to learn about pride in American flag and American history, and not that those things aren't talked about, but again, understanding about manufacturing and why manufacturing is so important to what America is and how it helped us build to where we're at. Talking about things like budgeting and things like that. So people are controlling their money. They're not onto the latest and greatest get-rich scheme and things that way. And then they're going to spend part of their day, they're going to shadow within the company, and they're going to get exposed to all the different things that Superior Crane has to offer. The nice part that we have is I've got a full service machine shop within our company. I've got obviously welding and fabricating with making cranes. I've got service, so going out and talking with customers and things like that. I've got engineering, I've got sales, I've got all these different things that we can expose people to on the manufacturing side of things to help them get exposed to things that they may not necessarily gotten exposed to previously, and help to put them in a position to, maybe it's not for Superior Crane, but put them on a path, because again, you can make very good money getting a technical degree from WCTC or MATC or Gateway in those places, not spend the money that people are spending to get a degree from a 4-year school, or especially a private school where that tuition cost is extremely high, and put themselves in better positions to be successful. Because again, if people are in better positions to be successful, that makes for a better community. It makes for all of those things to go on it. And at the end of the day, if SCC gets a couple good employees out of the deal, it's good for everybody that way too. So it's about trying to do the right thing, expose things to people that we see as being shortcomings in some cases, that people aren't talking about, and exposing them to opportunities that can make them successful later on in life.
That's awesome, man. I love it. I mean, that's I wish there was something like that around when I was getting out of high school. You know,
I mean, it's we have made plenty of bumps and bruises along the way as we're trying to get this thing up and going. But we can sit and we can complain about, you know, people want to beat down millennials, they want to say this, people's work ethics, they want to say all those things, or we can try to do something about it. And again, at the end of the day, will it work? I don't know. We're coming into year number 2. So we have our first group that has graduated year 1. They're coming back into year 2 now that they're getting to be seniors and getting to 18, because that allows them to operate more things and get a lot more hands-on experience, where before a lot of it is shadowing and things like that. Is it going to work or is it not going to work? We think there's something there, and we think it's got a lot of good attention, and again, it's presenting opportunities, and we're looking forward to what it can be in the future as we get going, and hopefully it's something that does work, and it switches that mindset to, and it feels like it's coming that way, where people are starting to acknowledge the trades and manufacturing and things like that as a good opportunity to provide for people's families and stuff like that. But it's a long-term play as it relates for everybody, because again, you can't take somebody at 16 or 17 years old and expect them to be the cure-all or the answer for the things. But again, it's doing something that bridges that gap, because as the baby boomers step away from the market, there hasn't been the people that are filling in those spots in between. And again, as a business owner, we realized that we needed to try to start addressing that it's not going to solve our needs. We have needs to hire people right now across basically all of those different departments. This is not going to solve that, but what it is it's putting the things in the pipeline to try to be that long-term solution, hopefully down the road.
Absolutely. What's your feedback been from the students?
It's been very good. Like I said, we spend a lot of time at job fairs, working items, whether it be with the Waukesha County Business Alliance, working with WCTC, MATC, gateway to try to promote people and to get people in the doors and things like that. But again, positive experience. Again, we're getting in front of classes through schools that have the tech aid programs still in place, so the metals, the wood shops, the things that way. And again, like I said, we're looking forward to our first year as we got 4 people, and it was kind of like, a lot of it was referrals from people within the company or connections that people had with kids that were doing that. As we come into the second year, you know, it's going to truly be an interview process because we can't take on the number of people that have asked to be a part of the program. So we're going to, because again, we want to make sure that we're not diluting it down to either, because again, attention spans being what they are for people, if people aren't getting, you know, attention and the opportunity to learn things here, we're going to lose people that way.
Sure.
So it's how do we best serve them while also serving ourselves, and then continue to promote it. And then again, we've been active with sharing it, whether it be through the Business Alliance or things like that, to other companies. So maybe it's not just us that is able to present these opportunities, that it's other people, to allow it to become something that is, okay, I'm thinking cranes, but then it's whoever down the road that's something a little bit different, but still allow those opportunities for people that are, you know, whether it's plumbing, whether it's AC, HVAC, things that way, just to make people better. I mean, because if we make people better, again, the community's going to get better. That should help across everything, you know, is really what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Well, this has been fun, man. Yeah. How can people find more information about Superior Crane and SEC University? Yeah,
so big thing on that, www.superiorcrane.com is your direct, because again, it goes into, we have an SECU page, shows a little bit about what we do. We're on the normal social media places, so again, Superior Crane on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. The only one that I don't think we're on that we probably need to start thinking about is I don't know that Twitter is still a thing or not, but Snapchat, according to my daughters, is a place that you need to be. So we're not on there, but and then just our phone number, 262-542-0099 is the main number. But if you ask to talk to HR or anybody that way, you can call and you can ask for me. I'd be more than happy to talk to people about it and get you in touch with the right people, and we go from there.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Stick around and check out this episode here, or check out this one here. And if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next video.